So that's cool. I can still see everybody's faces. Whoops, I've gone too far. So welcome everybody to our end of life celebration, commiseration. It's 1 year since, actually in Australia, it's 1 year to the day that the big announcement was made, and it has literally transformed our entire community, and many of our businesses were completely disrupted. So we thought this would be a nice kind of way to regroup 1 year later, just to see where everybody is, how we're all adapting. The idea is for it to be quite a positive thing, but also to be able to talk about some of the challenges that we're having and perhaps some of the solutions that we found to those challenges, because a lot can happen in a year and a lot has happened in a year. So we thought we could start. Barry, if you can put the first poll up. We've got a bit of a warm-up poll just to see how people are progressing with the various things. So just two questions. The first one is, how many are going with only one platform versus a range of platforms? And the other one is, have you started site migrations? Okay, I think most people have voted. So 31% are going with only one. 15% are going with many. And half, or just over half, are going with 2 to 3 platforms of choice, which is interesting. Okay. And have you started any site migrations? So one person's completed all of them. That is very impressive. I can't see at the moment if Barbara's in the room, but if she is, I know she's one of those people. Yes, a few, yes, many, and no. So there's 2 people that haven't started any migrations at all. So this is actually a really good example of how the community every individual in our community has adapted and reach different conclusions themselves as far as the way forward. I think I'll end the poll now and we can go on to the next slide. And the next slide is essentially the very first question to discuss. Were you able to see those results? I'm just seeing I need to press share results. Can anyone see that? Or am I the only one that can see the results? I can't hear anything.
I saw a thumbs up there.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, excellent. All right, great. Okay, so I'll stop sharing that and we can close the poll. So the first question really is to see how, if at all, the changes have inspired the way that you run your business or what your business model is. Is there anyone that would like to contribute to that particular question?
I can speak to that if you want. I can start, I guess.
Okay, and then we've got, I think, Aaron as well. Yep, go Barry.
Yeah, I couldn't do the poll because I was a host, so I haven't moved any sites yet. I'm kind of waiting for some platforms to mature. And as far as changing the business model, I've changed. My mindset is going more toward the sales and marketing piece and getting out of actually doing the development, but I also have multiple platforms that we're looking at that we're already using, because now that I used to be able with Business Catalyst, I was talking to a client, it would be, we can't do that. Or let me get back to you on that. Now it's, yep, we can do that. We don't even discuss the platforms because we know that within the 3 or 4 that we're working with, we can do pretty much anything. So it really depends on what comes out of discovery and what the client needs, where we put them.
So what you're saying is that it actually has expanded the number of projects you can say, yes, we can do that for?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I wish I could say the same. Okay. So I think Aaron was going to say something. Was it Aaron? Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I mean, is it over yet? That's my comment. It's, I don't know, I'm finding it's just so draining. It's because we have we're working with Triple, but we're also looking at SiteGlide, and we're looking at Duda, and we're looking at WordPress on a few sites as well. So it's been interesting for us. We had a whole bunch of proposals in the air when this all happened last year.
Yeah.
And I know for me, I was really pushing towards the platform OS, but it wasn't quite ready yet. So I kind of had to move in a different direction. But now that's all starting to get to, be a lot more ready. It actually has expanded our model a little bit, that we can actually offer a multitude of platforms, because it almost seems like every sort of platform is limited to a certain amount of things. So all my e-commerce stuff right now is going to Shopify, and potentially the people that still love WordPress, I'm moving them to WordPress. But I don't know, it's the biggest thing for me has been, the migration has been one of those things you just have to do. And I don't want to wait till 2020 or 2021. I'm telling my clients right now, like next 6 months, because I really don't want to touch BC sites anymore, just because we're going into like 4, potentially 5 different platforms. To sort of digress, to go back to BC, I'm like, I'm already learning all these other platforms. Plus, I'm only getting older too, so it's getting tougher and tougher to keep up with everything too. So it's So anyways, that's
so
for
you're
us.
going to 4 or 5. Just one second, Barry. Just checking if you've pressed record.
It looks like it's recording.
Okay, cool. Because I can't see a thing. Okay. Yeah. So that 4 or 5, that's quite a range of platforms, isn't it?
It is, but it's spectrum based on the clients, right? I mean, it's also allowed us to, work, more civic and provincial and state-based websites now, and bigger projects. So that's opened a few more doors as well. So as shitty as it's been, this whole process, it's been better for our agency. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are finding, that it's been so painful, but it's forced us to think in different ways and do things differently. But
it's also, I find it also a bit scary too, because with all these sort of, and I'm not going to, I'll use this word once, but the pop-up CMSs that are coming up that everybody seems to be saying that's what's happening. You never know who's going to survive. And so it's scary to sort of put all your eggs in one basket right now. So that's why we're looking at 4 to 5. We just have to.
Exactly.
I don't want to be in the same situation. I'd much rather be in the same situation with, 5 to 6 websites than 50 websites. So.
Yeah,
that's the same thing I'm thinking. I don't want to be caught on one platform. And I look back that, we're moving. We have a couple sites going on WordPress right now. One's under development, and what can I say? 6 months before end of life, I could have, along with the Chicago Digital and one other partner, we could have done a $70,000 project if we were using WordPress then, and neither of us were. So we lost the project.
Yeah, because while all this is going on, you still have to sell. Like, it's not just migrations that you're worrying about. You still have to sell. Going, so. Yeah.
For my part, I've decided to split my business in a way and move more into consulting, but I'm absolutely not there yet because I don't want to get rid of my other business. But future wise, it's just not where my skill set, my personal skill set is. I know everything that has to happen, but I've realized that my business model was very much about employing people to do other things, which leaves, much less profit. Whereas if I do more consulting in my line of interest and expertise, that's I'm doing that as a parallel thing now, because I've thought going forwards, that's much more sustainable for me. Did anyone else have anything about changes to the business model per se? Oh, hang on, I've just clicked that by mistake. We're not there yet.
Hey, Scott. I have a question for Scott Reynolds as far as, where you're at these days, because I know you did a lot of app development, you did a lot of work with partners. Are you still heading that direction, but just with a different platform?
I don't know if
there, I unmuted you. I don't know why I have to unmute you.
There we go. Yeah, I kept clicking it like, please let me talk. I have so much to say. I would have interrupted Aaron like 5 times. It would have been great.
Oh, no.
So it's probably good that you have me muted. Actually, one thing I want to say about what Aaron was saying about not wanting to go back and do anything with BC sites. That's kind of how I feel too. It's like if you go and you have to go learn something or at least reinforce what you knew, it's kind of like a waste of time, right? Because it's like I'm using this stuff that's specific to Business Catalyst and it won't help me move forward with what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So, and that was, as you guys might know, I've been moving away from small business owners for years, right? I've been working mostly with Business Catalyst partners. And so, sometimes they still need support, which I have done, but I'm trying not to take any of the bigger projects or more complicated the projects. And I've been kind of working that out. So I guess that's how my business model has changed, right? Because it was all Business Catalyst partners and apps. I pulled all my apps from the App Store and that sort of thing. So yeah. One of the things also has changed is automation. I've been going crazy researching automation and doing all kinds of creative things with that. Where with Business Catalyst, it was very limited what you could do. But now it's crazy what you can do with automation. It's just really amazing. A while back, Ursh got me into ActiveCampaign, and it's so fun, like doing automations where
we need to talk.
When someone sneezes, send somebody else a text message, and then, start my car and make some coffee. It's incredible, like what you can do and how creative you can be. Where with Business Catalyst, you kind of had like, you're a little bit restricted that way.
Yeah. That's amazing. Okay, so something that Aaron said reminded me of something that I wanted to say at the beginning as well, which is there are a lot of CMSs, and I wanted to keep, when we're talking about them, I didn't want, if there's any negative things about CMSs, I'd prefer that the names of those weren't mentioned, because I want to keep it positive, and also it's more to do with any struggles that we're having rather than pointing the finger at any, experiences that we've had specifically, because I think from my observation, everyone that's engaged with our community have been bending over backwards to try and create a solution for a very demanding clientele. Okay. So next one. Any blessings following the pain? Sorry, I have to keep switching this window off because I can't see what I'm doing. I think some of those have been mentioned, but I'm wondering if there's anyone else had other blessings as a result of the big change. Can't really see the chat. Okay.
There you go. You're unmuted.
Thank you, Barry.
I just unmuted everybody.
Great. And I can't see chat, by the way, so you might have to speak if you want me to hear you.
All right. Real quick, I have one. I don't know if you guys could hear me, but one of the biggest blessings for me is learning of the new communities and being part of it. The community that we have at Platform OS, even though I'm not a technical partner, I have dove into a lot of different things, learning Liquid a lot more, trying to learn GraphQL, getting familiar and keeping up with it. But one of the biggest blessings for me has just been before in BC, I tried to really get connected with like the community itself. And I may have commented a little bit, but I mean, every Thursday, I try to be at the meetings. And it's good to see, like Scott Reynolds, I recognize a lot of the names, even in this. Everyone that's up on my screen right now, I recognize as, members of other communities. So that's been a really big blessing to me.
Yeah, the community is pretty amazing, isn't it?
Well, I think actually Barbara has been huge. I don't know where you get all your energy, Barbara. But you research more platforms than anybody I know. And some of those platforms are actually using Duda. I think has helped us kind of keep things going. We're using that, and I'm not a fan of WordPress, still not a fan of WordPress, but we're doing some WordPress sites. And then we're looking at SiteGlide. We're doing the more complex sites. But I probably wouldn't have looked at all of those platforms if Barbara hadn't been so, I don't know, you just had a huge amount of energy to do all of that work and just be persistent and go out there and kind of rescue us along the way. So thank you so much for doing that, Barbara.
Oh, Alexandra, thank you so much for mentioning that, because that was in one of my mental notes. I wasn't sure if Barbara was coming today or not, but I was going to give her a big shout out because the amount of work she did at end of lifetime on behalf of all of us was, I have no idea how she did it. Not only researching them, but organizing the interviews with people and with 3 children as well. I have no clue how she did that. I don't think she slept at all.
I don't know, but it was very much appreciated.
It was, and continues to be, because it's, that was one of my things that I put down under blessings, is that it was so fantastic to see how many amazing systems there were, because we were so entrenched in one system for a long time, 8-9 years, that the world had moved on and we hadn't seen a whole lot of incredible developments that had been done. So,
well, we had built some really pretty amazing websites on Business Catalyst, things that other people couldn't do. We could do it. And now I'm not sure what we're going to do with some of our complex sites. We have some smaller sites too, but the day before the announcement came out, we just launched the site, and it took me a year to tell the client that we're going to have to move our site. And then I had 2 others. One I was getting ready to launch, and another one was close to launching. So I had 3 sites in the works when that announcement came out, and it really kind of threw us for a loop. So for those 3 sites, we haven't done anything with them.
Yeah. Well, I think we can see through the poll that there are people that haven't moved sites at all yet because, just waiting to see which direction to go.
Some of them are interested in moving, some of them aren't. I've actually going to be losing a couple of clients, but I don't feel bad about it. I didn't make much money after we built their site anyway, so it's okay.
Actually, you know what I was thinking yesterday, exactly about the client. I've lost clients as well, but the weird thing is that the ones that I'm losing, I'm feeling like I'm sighing a big sigh of relief. Just like, oh, thank God I have to.
It's hard really too, and because they're lovely people, but I don't make any money off of them, and except for the hosting once a year. Then they complain about that, so I was like, okay, just let it go. Yeah, that's fine. So now we're looking at a couple of niche markets, which is kind of a big deal for us. And challenges I had is that my developer was really focused on Business Catalyst. We looked at some platforms that we can move to. She doesn't like to do that. So she won't.
Right.
She will do WordPress. She won't go to SiteGlide. It's like, okay, that's the problem. And so
that is a problem.
so I'm going to have to work with some other people to do what I need to do in order to make the agency, my small agency, valuable to the variety of people I'll be working with. And I don't want to work with those kind of businesses anyway. So that means you're getting away from those kind of websites and work with real businesses. So that's cool. And that's a more complex site. We've done some of that with a few of our newer clients, but that's been a big. I've had to restructure my whole business, everything. I'm still undergoing that restructure. A couple of good tools that have come out, and I mentioned one of them on the Business Catalyst Facebook page is the Agency Analytics. I've been looking for something like that for ages. It popped up as a connection on my Yext account, and I thought I'll check that out, and it's been terrific. So I can just plug everything into that, and I get these great reports, and I look like a genius. And then people report. That's been nice.
Yeah.
Do this has been really helpful. I can put together websites really quick for people, and it's so much easier. But it's not going to work for some of the clients we work with. So I think having a couple of platforms makes tremendous amount of sense.
Yeah. Okay. So any other blessings before we talk about some of the platform experiences? Okay. So yes, with this one, I was thinking rather than talking about specific platforms, I thought it would be worthwhile talking about platform experiences, like the types of experiences that we've had, both positive and negative maybe, in exploring other platforms.
Can you give us a for instance?
For instance, I guess my experience has been trying, my biggest difficulty has been mapping my BC brain, which is how things work in Business Catalyst, into other platforms, and not just one other platform, but loads of different platforms. And I guess my experience there has been some are really good at one thing that I think is better than BC, but don't have some other fundamentals, like, you know, things that we take for granted, like 301 redirects, for example, or, you know, nothing's had the full package, even though some of the individual features of other platforms have been better than Business Catalyst. So I've been amazed at a lot of the individual functionality on the one hand, and on the other hand, I've been frustrated, by the learning curve and getting stuck into something and putting a site on something and going, what? It doesn't do that? How, you know, how is that even possible? You know what I mean?
Discover it after the fact, or as you're going through the project, and like, oh my goodness, if I had only known.
Yeah, exactly. How can it not do? How can I not manage 301 redirects? How's that even possible? You know, as an example, yeah. Is that a hard question?
I have one really quick. The things that I have experienced, one of them that I found was really promising. I couldn't take on because of the upfront cost for myself. So unfortunately, I couldn't dive into that platform. But I was really excited when I heard about it. I did research and joined the groups, but I couldn't partake in that one. And the other ones that I have gone with, the great thing about it is they show so much potential, and I believe in their solutions. But as of yet, I feel that they're not completely ready for some of the migrations that I would need to create. And, so I think that they're so close,
Yes.
but I still haven't really I answered with, I've just migrated to this platform. But I think that in order for some of my more complicated websites, I think I'm still out maybe 2 or 3 months before I can say, okay, I think that the new solution has enough of what I need in order to migrate the rest of the sites. And that's one of the challenges. But again, excited about what they're creating and believe in the solutions, but I'm still kind of waiting a little bit on that.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that some of them are fantastic, but not quite ready just to jump straight in.
Yes.
I think one of the things having worked with Treeple and Shopify lately has been, it's almost like Shopify is pretty awesome. I don't know if you guys have gone into it, but the fact that it's, with Liquid and stuff, but even just like the simple things like, just assigning a page to no index, it's like quite the process. Like you actually have to go into theme.liquid. And so like the little things are just super annoying. Like, so it's almost like we were kind of spoiled with BC, even though it had its quirks and its idiosyncrasies. It was still a platform that you could sort of mold yourself around. I don't know if that's a good thing or not a bad thing, but it's just, I think what you nailed it on the head there, Ursh. It's one of those things. It's almost like everybody's almost there, but we're missing this. Oh, okay, well, I can't move that site to that, so I'm going to wait. Or maybe we can't wait. We need to move it to this platform, but I really don't want to move to that platform. So it's kind of
Actually, that's exactly what you just said. Sometimes it's not a matter of us waiting. It's like we literally have to, because a client needs a site built and it needs to go live. So it's not like, well, I can wait. And I think those of us that have moved to multiple platforms, it's because of that reason, because otherwise we're not getting any projects if we don't make any decisions about which platform we go to for now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But for me, on the flip side too, I've also gained some business because I wasn't able to go and try to get certain business types because they only required that the website be hosted on a Canadian data center. So I couldn't do it for U.S. privacy laws, right? So now I have that option. So now I can actually start moving a few sites there as well and actually pick up some new business. So there's been positives in the rat race here as well. So.
That's good. Anyone else want to comment on their experiences of other platforms?
It's been a learning curve.
It's
been a big learning curve.
Yes.
It felt a little overwhelming at times, but so I just started doing one at a time, and I'm still not going to get fully into WordPress. I'll let my developers do it. I'll just have them take care of it. I'm not going to get into too deep.
I think it depends so much on our unique skill sets as well, things that we are good at and things that we're not good at. Right. Because that kind of Business Catalyst allowed people who are marketers, designers, developers all work with the one platform, whereas a lot of the other platforms are more skewed towards one thing than another.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question is, we've sort of touched on this, but I'd just be interested in whether there is something that you'd say is the biggest struggle for you, your business, your clients, whatever, as a result of the end of life still.
I think for me, it's still putting my team together in a way that it's going to move me forward. I'm having to rearrange things quite a bit.
It makes a big difference if you have a team that's not flexible or not willing to learn something new, doesn't it?
Right. So I'm having to work around them and leave them where they are, and we'll go find other people to do the other things. And it may work out well for them, it may not.
Yeah.
What can you do? Also changed my service offerings a bit. And kind of formulated that a bit more closely on a couple niche markets. It's the same stuff we've always done, just sort of tailored it and given it a new finish. And I think expanded some services. I want to learn a lot more about active campaign and marketing automation. So if anybody wants to train me, I'd love to learn.
Definitely. Active campaign's amazing. As Scott said, I got very excited about it. But now at the moment, I'm using only the very basic features only because I simply don't have time. But to do the automations and to think through processes, and part of that is because I need to work out what I'm actually doing. So
I think it takes some good strategy to really move it forward. But I think once you figure that out, it could do probably some stunning stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Just getting the strategies together, I think, is the trick.
Hey, Arsh, I don't know if you saw Steve's comment, but he says,
no, I can't see anything.
He says, biggest thing which has been said, is not having something that covers the flexibility BC could.
Yeah.
I agree with it. I was going to say, I feel in myself, I've almost come full circle because at one point I was thinking, it's so good having all these different platforms and, I can do this with that one and this with that one. But really the thing that I'm struggling on top of everything else with the most is just the admin of managing different platforms. The billing in different platforms, the support through different platforms. So I think if there's one thing I'm missing the most, which I thought was an advantage of end of life before, it's that all-in-one ability. And because the other thing I was thinking about the all-in-one is, when it comes time to sell your business, if something's in one platform, it just feels like that would be such a much easier proposition to sell it all intact rather than, this site's on this and this is how that works and this site's on this and this is how that works, So I would say that's one of my biggest struggles.
Yeah, I think you're right, Arsh. For me, the biggest thing is I haven't got anything like BC to build a website on, so I cannot take on any large projects that I want to do, sort of nifty things using web apps and Liquid. And so my business has suffered for that because I have to go for smaller projects. I don't know how everybody else is kind of coping with that. I'm watching Triple and I'm watching Platform OS, and they're getting there. But still, they're not there, and a lot has been promised in the past 12 months, and we're still waiting for it to kind of get there. I know they're very close, but there's no e-commerce solution available yet. So that's a thing I'm waiting for, and I think most people.
I've got three comments. Well, the first one regarding the platform itself. I mean, if you think back the whole history of technology. For decades, the number one rule was no one ever got fired for buying IBM. And I think we're sort of in that situation now, whereas 5 years ago, where you could have one program that did everything, and 3 or 4 of them come to mind, whether it's WordPress or Joomla or Drupal or packages like that. The problem is that because there's so much out there that they can do, they become so bloated. So you really can't have a program that will do everything, or else it's going to be too big to do almost anything on its own. And so, you have to figure out what business are you in. Are you in the business of design? In which case, at this point, you pretty well have to specialize with a package and really specialize in that, because there's just so much that every package can do, and specialize on your design practice. If you're a programmer, the same thing. If you're a marketing person, then the website is a great spoke or a great hub to a set of spokes, but you have to concentrate on the spokes, not the hub. You have to understand and have somebody who understands the website, but you have to be dealing with the other things. And God knows, I mean, you can have one person who just does Instagram, one person who just does Facebook, one person who just does Google. it's all different. Everything is becoming specialized because the industry is becoming so big, and each
Very
individual part of it is becoming too technical for any one person to do everything. Which is why I've basically I'm offloading absolutely everything that I do except for strategy, because then I can figure out. I don't have to worry about whether this platform will do that or that platform will do that. If I have people who can tell me whether their platform will do it, that's what I need. Because the client, to me, it's a disservice for me to try and push any one platform on the client, and it's the client disservicing themselves to try and tell me what platform they want. Because it's not about them, right? It's about their customer, not about them. So it's the whole discovery process and the execution of the strategy that is becoming really much more important, because there's just so much out there. If what you want to do is know what things will work and how they will work generally, then you pretty well have to forego doing any of the technical stuff yourself, because you don't have the time to keep up with it.
Yeah. And that comes down to that repositioning of what your business strategy or what your business model is, because of the complexity of it, and that it just makes sense to specialize in what you're actually a specialist in rather than trying to manage everything else.
Exactly.
I think if I can chip in there. Can you hear me? This is Craig.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
hi, Craig.
Hi. I think one of the biggest things that I'm dealing with, and I think we're all going to have to deal with, I think this has changed the whole industry, quite frankly. I've had clients who just won't go back to a proprietary system now. As much as I reassure them that, hey, it wasn't their core business, and I'm hearing lots of stories of, no, put me on open source now. And this, I don't know what's going to make that go away, because I think, and now every single, with all due respect to WordPress developers, but every single WordPress developer and designer is now saying, see, I told you so. They're all saying that, and we're all kind of tarnished by that brush to a degree. I hear the protests already, but that's a game changer, I think. I'd love people's views on that.
What was the established base of BC versus the established base of something like WordPress? I mean, if WordPress is the 10-ton gorilla in the room, then chances are that, I mean, if there's an uproar about BC going down, what's going to happen if WordPress actually closed? Which sort of, because it is open source, would be difficult to happen. But if somebody were to just pull the plug on it, the world would fall apart.
Yeah, I hear that, but I think you nailed it on the head there. Being open source, you do have some options there around keeping it going and changing hosts and so on. When your host
have always forked everything. So, to quote an old Joomla programmer, it's a forking mess out there. Because, every time somebody, like a whole bunch of people don't like a direction that something's going with, they take the open source kernel and they rebuild it and rebrand it as something else, and it just keeps going. So then there are two different versions of it, depending on what it is that you want to do with it.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm not saying they're necessarily correct, but it's just, perception is reality. And the reality is that WordPress people are just saying, hey, I told you so, this is going to happen again. And clearly, and there's so many of them, of course, Scott, this is a problem. There's a number of people defecting away because of that very, and we've all had, people with their marketing saying, oh, look, come and migrate with us because your developer has let you down or your designer's let you down. And of course, that's rubbish. But that's perception, and that's what we're dealing with on a daily basis.
Well, I wasn't a BC user. So, I was actually about to become a BC user when it closed. So I was just sort of lucked out at the very end. I've done WordPress. I've done just native HTML and CSS and things like that. I've done Joomla. I've done Drupal. I've go back 20 years doing this stuff, and I'm not really tied to anything. But I look at what they all can do, and I stick for the most part with WordPress just because it's easy to get anybody to do anything for a reasonable price, and it's always patched. There's never a security issue with it. And it's not a difficult sale to walk into somebody and say, well, it's going to cost you X thousands of dollars. Now the base is free, but it's not just WordPress, it's all this other stuff that we're applying to it.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments about biggest struggles as a result of the end of life? It sounds so morbid, doesn't it? End of life. That's what it's been called. One of mine is also, because of all the things that we've talked about, pricing projects at the moment is very difficult. You think something can do something, and then you find out when you try to do it that it's not what you thought.
Yeah, I've been there. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was really hard to put any proposals together for a while because I had no idea what I was doing. So it was really tough. Yeah. But it's
why don't you put together platform agnostic proposals?
The proposals we had, well, they weren't really agnostic. Well, how do I explain this? They were geared around Business Catalyst, but it's because Business Catalyst could do certain things. So when we started doing a few WordPress sites, I had to change the proposal to match what we could do on WordPress because my proposals are very specific. And so clients know exactly what they're getting and what they're not getting and what to expect from me, and vice versa. So I had to redo the proposals on those platforms so that people would understand these are the limitations of what we can do and what we're going to do. So I have up to several versions of proposals at this point, depending on what platform we're going with.
And adding to that, if you've got a team that is used to developing in one system, it's a very unknown quantity when you're quoting to know who's going to develop that on another system that you don't even know that well. So
exactly,
that's what's been so difficult. It's like, okay, well, if I go with WordPress, I don't really know all the ins and outs of that, and who's going to do that. Now I do have a good WordPress person, but I didn't. So, but yeah, that's what's made it really difficult with quoting.
Yeah.
Can I add something?
Sure.
Yeah, sorry, I had a baby crying a little while ago, so I couldn't unmute myself. I think the biggest struggle is just having it all at the same time, because it's not like you have an issue with one site. Like suddenly you have to find a new home for a bunch of them at once. And so while you're still trying to sell new sites, and that really messes up any sort of production process you may have in place. So the way we try to overcome that was by starting with the little ones, getting them out of the way, which was also our way to test out these new platforms, because you're starting with, okay, this one just needs to edit text. This one just needs to edit text and have a couple of forms, and just moving the ones that would be the less complicated, I guess. And that this other platform, whatever that is, could handle. But still, I still have a big bunch that have to move, and although some of them we can move anytime we want, it's a load, you know what I'm saying, and it happens all the time. So I think that was the biggest struggle. But I do want to touch on what Scott was saying. I couldn't unmute myself a little while ago. When it comes to WordPress, I think we have to understand those are two different beasts when we talk open source and not open source. So if I keep comparing apples to apples, I'm always going to run into the same excuses or the same thing that people will say, right? Oh, it's going to happen again. Well, it's going to happen again. Well, okay, maybe it will happen again. I don't know if it will happen again. Can it happen again? Yes. But at the same time, we're not addressing the problem with open source, which is any guy in a garage can create a plugin for WordPress that will not be any more available a year from today. And then I'm going to be in a different place with a different set of product problems with the same clients. So I don't think there's a platform out there that could be problem-free or error-free. I much rather go on vacation and know that Dudo will take care of my stuff, or Webflow, than having to take care of stuff while I'm unavailable because somebody hacked on my client's website. And if you say that it's not possible, then I don't know. I mean, that's not my experience with WordPress. That's all we get is hacked websites. That's all we get. Is it user error? Absolutely. I can guarantee you it's user error. They're not putting together, the level of security that the platform requires. And that for me is the greatest red flag, because the impression I get with something like WordPress that is open source is you're giving them a cheap house that could have all the gadgets and all the bells and whistles you can possibly give them, but you're putting them in the worst neighborhood of town. So you're forcing them to have all sorts of security for these guys to live in this house that you just sold them. So it's like, and then if your alarm system doesn't work, you're the one that has to respond for it. And then if I just don't feel like in my company, I want to have that level of responsibility to begin with. So what kind of piece do you want to have? I think that determines what you want to be doing as far as open source or not open source. So
the way that I have peace doing it is that I don't allow people to host their own sites. I don't even allow people to upload stuff to their own sites. It's all maintained and managed.
Okay, so it's a full service, and you're in control.
Full service, and that's why it's either with WP Engine. If it's a WordPress site, it's either with WP Engine or Flywheel, which means, and then plus we have our own stuff put on as well. That we know day to day what needs to be updated and what doesn't.
Yeah, and I think Scott, what you're bringing to the table is actually very in line with what I'm trying to say. Is you need to determine what kind of agency you want to be. I want to be the kind of agency where I can take a whole week off and not have to worry. What if a client were to send me an update that week and I'm not available? How many people do I need to have available to do updates based on the load that we may or may not receive? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a matter of deciding what's the best fit for you, for the people you have in your team. And I feel like for me in particular, open source is not it. So, sorry.
No, well, that's why different opinions are so good. Fantastic. Because we all learn from them.
Barb's newest is actually disagreeing with her already.
What's that?
Barb's newest is disagreeing with her already.
Oh, yeah, is she? Is that what's going on? Okay.
Ursula, I just wanted to say one more thing about the struggles. I'll make it real quick, but is how to price migrations right now when you do have a platform that you think it can handle, and it's kind of like you have that conversation with your client, who's on the hook for it, kind of thing, right? And for us, we're definitely like, look, it's not us, it's you. So it's different for us because we can actually now quote, because we do have a platform that can handle some things and another platform that can handle some things. So we do have now a general idea of how long it's going to take, just doing a simple FTP. But I'm finding still a lot of the clients, the smaller clients, bigger clients, they're just like, just take it, do
what you got to do.
But the little clients are like, they just don't feel like they should be responsible. My site's 4 years old. I shouldn't be responsible for, moving this site over. Okay, well, so we're having these sort of struggles and battles. So in one sense, it's been helping me because I still have maybe 4 Muse, that I said Adobe Muse websites out there, which has been a godsend that I can actually move these guys to a proper website. But yeah, it's how do you quote it, right? So everybody's different and not what we do, but that's been a struggle for sure.
In a way, the way I'm kind of handling that is those people that I think are going to complain the most about price, I'm just waiting for a bit longer because two things will happen. One is that they're going to start to get more sick of their site because it's going to date. And the other is that I'm going to have more of an idea as to the best place to migrate them to. Mm-hmm. And what I've seen from the BC exporter, that's going to, which is very minimal. I only just saw that on the town hall presentation the other day, but it looks amazing. So that will, I think in another 6 months, it not only will it come down in price, but I'll have a much better understanding of what it actually means. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've offered up sort of graduated pricing. So whereas, if you want to get going now, we have something for you, and let us know by this date. If it doesn't happen, then it kind of, so eventually they'll come back to us, in 2021. We're way long on the platform, and we'll see.
Before then, I hope.
And I will quote a snapshot from the chat room here from Barry that it'll cost him $1 million for sure.
I do wish I could see the chat. I feel I'm missing out. Yeah, that's right. So it could be staged. And actually, that was one thing I was thinking of doing, was just doing a discount for people that do it sooner rather than later. But then that doesn't make sense either, because I'm less able to quote now than I will be later. So it's like a mess.
Also, why would you discount for something that they're going to have to pay for eventually anyway?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, for me, it's been more learning the platforms. It's kind of my, they're paying me to learn it, so that's been my thing. So I'm done that part though.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I do have one final question that I've put here, and obviously people can chat and put other questions here, but this is the ones we came up with. Is there one thing that you miss the most?
Just one. I like having everything on one platform. So it's easy to manage all of your clients. I didn't have to worry about security. It's so much easier, for instance, to make changes on Business Catalyst than it is on WordPress. I just get totally buffaloed by WordPress on lots of levels, but I can do some stuff. Yeah. But my clients aren't that pleased with WordPress. It's so complicated. And I actually, years ago, when I took a client off WordPress and onto BC, the client made the comment, like, this is so much easier than WordPress. He loved it. And he was making changes to the site before we even launched the site. It was easier, and I think that in many ways more intuitive than some of the platforms that are out there. And so I think it just made for some really great customer experiences. That's not always the case with the other platforms that are available. Although we moved to one client from BC over to Duda, and he loves it. He's very happy with it.
So Ursh.
So that's a happy story. Yes.
Yeah. Alexander, hope I didn't step on you there. I can say in the beginning, I said, look, I probably have 3 or 4 platforms I'm looking at. I have sites on 4 platforms right now, including BC. And Laura commented here, and I agree with her, it kept me between the rails on my offerings. It is. We talked about pricing, and Aaron talked about pricing, I believe. It's really hard. It's a lot harder to put proposals together for me, because some of these platforms I don't 100% understand totally how they work. I've moved to a dev team, and I have a dev team now that does a lot of, the work that I used to do. But still, when you're talking to customers and trying to put a proposal together, it makes it a lot harder. And when I was doing BC, I knew exactly, I could walk out of a meeting with a client and know pretty much what I was going to charge them for a site.
Yeah,
I could do what I couldn't do.
Yeah. No, it's a big difference. To make, you might all laugh at this, but I actually loved that we could have instant support. And I know we all complained about the level of support, but for quite a few years there, any time of night or day, you could get someone and solve a problem. And that whole all-in-one, I guess the thing that I don't like about going to multiple platforms is that the depth of knowledge and understanding I had of one platform, at the moment I have a cursory understanding of a few, whereas this was just like that deep instant knowledge that you have of what you can do and the features that were included in it, like those core business features, that integrated email marketing, CRM, sales. It was just really nothing out there like it yet to that level, even though it was dated and needed a whole overhaul. So that's my thing. Is there anything else that people miss most? Community, where our community's in little bits and pieces. I mean, we're all together, but we're still joining other and new communities.
Just on the previous point, I think it just demonstrates just how far advanced BC was. I mean, really, it's the same platform for over 10 years now, really, obviously with improvements. But even today, as we've all found out, nothing is like for like in terms of its features, partner programs, etc., etc. So in many ways, we've been spoiled, and so have our customers, but they don't know that now that they're faced with.
That's right. They don't know that.
Across. Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, and we've given them this Rolls Royce for the cost of a Volkswagen, with all due respect to both drivers. And they like, wow, we didn't realise, and they do perhaps. As it says, never querying to one basket and get the performance and find clients. But yeah, I think in my case, I probably, always set out to be perfect. But the reality was, I think, not knowing this could happen, and that's a real thing. I had no idea this could even happen, quite frankly. Putting it to the polls in different groups, everybody can come up with a precedent. And so that was the thing that I've suffered from in this case, is that, I just had no idea what happened. So it was completely unprepared for it. So, we've all been told, hopefully we're in that sort of
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I can't see if anyone else is saying anything. I can't see the chat or anything like that.
No, we're good.
Are there any other comments? All good. I guess the other thing that I wanted to say about the meetings in general is that I think this 1 year anniversary is a good place to kind of go, okay, so that's what am I trying to say? I guess we're all having to accept and move on, and the Business Catalyst specific conversations are probably still best now in the Adobe Business Catalyst Facebook group, and AgencyTribe has to be a little bit more about what's relevant to digital agencies in general, and that's why I was really pleased to see Scott here, who hasn't had the BC experience, and providing that perspective as well, because we're wanting to bring in a whole lot more general information related to digital agencies, because there are so many fields of specialty now that even if that's not our area of specialty, it's really good to understand how that fits into the overall digital ecosystem. So if there's any specific things that you feel you would like presentations on, or that you've missed out on, that would be really good to hear about. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Ursh, I can say Scott Reynolds is not here, but I'd love to talk to him someday and have a discussion more on automations and stuff and what he's doing with Active Campaign. I know we had an expert in a while back, but you know.
Oh, I was never an expert. I was an enthusiast. I thought it was great, and then I haven't had a chance to do any more with it since end of life.
I've been trying to find out more about using bots, both online and in administration. Seems to be like a huge industry out there of
it is. That's a great suggestion. That's a great suggestion. Do you have anyone in mind that you know might be an expert? Or
absolutely no one at all. But yeah, I just
no. I just thought that's a great suggestion. I thought I'd just ask if you knew of anyone, but we can definitely ask around.
Hey Scott, are you?
Victor's doing it. Victor Vento's doing it, isn't he?
Victor is doing chatbots.
Well, chatbots is one side of it, but there's also these companies out there. There's one, I think it's called Upbot or something, and a couple of others where you can actually, it's sort of a bit, from what I can gather, I really haven't spent much time on it, but it's a little bit like Zapier or Zapier.
Okay.
Where you can actually like bring data from a bunch of different sources and sort of create your own dashboard to show your clients, having it branded with your own agency brand and things like that, which, you know, I mean,
that sounds cool.
Which sounds to me like, you know, that's phenomenal. But I mean, I don't really have the time to sit down and do all the research and figure out what the hell they're talking about.
Well, that's why the presentations are good. So we're thinking, you know, if there are people that have got innovative products or and I guess that's one of the questions, because there's sometimes a fine line between an educational presentation and something that's a hard sell vendor pitch, and we want to strike the right balance. At the same time, there's so many really good products that we wouldn't be aware of that people have discovered, that it would be something quite good to invite people to do presentations on.
Actually, somebody should maybe ask Brandy if she knows an expert in that field.
Yeah, I can ask Victor as well. But I know also we have an automation guy in here. Rob Hull is big into automation. He's gotten into it and he loves it. So I'll have to ask Rob sometime if he wants to show us some stuff too. Maybe we can get a bunch of experts in.
Yeah, all you have to do is wear a T-shirt that says "I love Rob Hull."
Is that all it takes?
I just want a T-shirt with an octopus on it.
That could be arranged at some point in
life. Dude, is it in the mail yet? Come on.
I got to get some printed. I don't have any ready right now. I got to bug Ashley about it. That's her field. But yeah, no, AC's got, Active Campaign's got a lot of wicked new things they just rolled out. As well as I'm pretty extensively connected with them there. So I can always see too, if there's anything that I can't cover, if I can bring in my Active Campaign rep into it. We're a part of that whole program with them. So
yeah,
that would be very exciting.
Back when BC end of life happened, we actually did have, not in this group, but Barbara set up we had a Zoom meeting with somebody from Active Campaign way back then, because Rob, have you used BC before? Do you know anything about it?
I've looked at it. I never actually did anything with it, though. The best I did was had a trial, and then I got rid of it.
Gotcha. So there was some, ability to do email blasts and things like that. So at the time we were going, okay, what can we use to replace that part of Business Catalyst? And that's when we brought Active Campaign in. And I'll be calling you anyways, because I still haven't done anything with my stuff from Phoenix. So.
Looking forward to that call. Yeah, their CRM is absolutely amazing. When you actually dive deep into syncing up the automations with the CRM, going all throughout the phases and the stages, it works beautifully.
It is amazing. From what I've seen, I just get all these light bulb ideas, and then I'm back to the boring work that I have to be doing instead of that.
Yeah.
What about the topic of LinkedIn for marketing?
Hey, Ursh.
Yep.
Rob had one other comment on that.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
No worries. The good piece that they're rolling out this week, which actually ties into automation too. They're diving into having a new chatbot service on ActiveCampaign. I know right now who's dominating the industry is ManyChat with their bots right now, because there's a lot of them that sync up with Facebook, and a lot of people are getting away from having the simple chatbot service into the Facebook chatbot service because it forces people to have like a real person account. We'll call it to be able to chat back and forth. But ActiveCampaign's launching this week, or they should have already launched it, their conversations piece, which is going to be simple chat based, but they're rolling out the automated piece with the chatbot service, where it's going to pre-filter people before it goes into the conversation aspect. So definitely a worthwhile look.
I did see an email come out from them, and I thought that looks like there's a lot of exciting things happening there. So that sounds amazing. So it looks like we're going to be talking to you more, Rob. Would anyone be interested in something along the lines of how LinkedIn is starting to be used for marketing in the B2B space? Because it seems to be, well, not seems to be, it is definitely coming into its own now.
Yeah, there's, what's his name? Josh Turner at Link Selling. Seems to be one of the big guys in that. Of course, he's selling his own packages and programs and how to do it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, I mean, you can do everything and his system actually automates a lot of it too.
Right. I have seen, I've seen some automated stuff that feels automated when I receive it on LinkedIn, and so it'd be interesting to see what that is and at what level the automation stops and the personal contact begins, or whether the automation is related to seeking out relevant contacts or something. So that would be really interesting. I have no idea how we're going for time.
We normally run an hour and a half. If it's the conversation's good, we have 20 minutes left. If people want to continue to discuss opportunities and other platforms and tools, I'd love to keep going.
Suggestions, yeah. Suggestions for future topics.
I don't see any coming in.
None coming in? Yeah. All right. So perhaps we will wind it up there. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We thought it would be a good idea to do like a session that talks about what happened a year ago and allows us to get a little bit of therapy, a little bit of closure, and we're all still connected all throughout this group and throughout a lot of the other groups and communities that we're a part of. And so thank you very much for joining us, and we'll let you know what's on next month as soon as we know what's on. We are working on that as we speak. I can do the stop share now.
Fires.